dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.
Yep. Hey, it's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. Got a great show for you this evening. How do I know? Because I said so. And we typically do what we need to do in order to give you the information that is productive for you to navigate throughout the course of life, I would say. That's my perspective. But you're always welcome to challenge that theory. Today, we're going to be talking about who should be president in 2024. Hopefully, you have your mindset to be flexible enough to hear people's perspective, even though you already may have your own. And hopefully, you'll pass this on to someone else to see if it helps them as well. I've never been an individual. I won't say never, but growing up, I would say never then. I wasn't really into politics. I was just like everybody else. Most people, I would say, is that I just waited every 4 years to vote and then I just voted. I didn't pay any attention to who it is, and why I would vote for a particular party. And then my late wife, Jen, she was heavy into politics. And so here I am now understanding it. And now Kendra is also as well, even more so into politics. And we have these discussions on a regular basis. And so Dwayne, who's not here today just yet, hopefully he'll make it. He's the one that said we should have this conversation. Last week, though, we said, should it be a part of the dating process? Should it be a question of talking about politics on day one? And it was a resounding yes. So we're going to talk about it today. And before we start, the question that we're going to start with is, if you came with a disclaimer, what would it say? If you came with a disclaimer, what would it say? Mine, I'll start first since I typically don't, since people want to think in the back. Right, I would say tread lightly. That would be my my mantras to this degree. Meaning that if you want to have a conversation with me, know that I am going to ask you questions about your particular thought process. So tread lightly when it comes to, don't be overly sensitive about about what I may say, about what I may ask. My whole premise is to find out why you think how you think, and see if you can change my mind or I can change yours, or we can meet in the middle some regard. So we're gonna start off with none other than it's me, Jamie.
I was in deep thought too. Like you saw me.
Yeah, everybody. You see people backstage. You see their face.
I was like, okay. So the answer to the question, if I came with a disclaimer, what would it say? I got two, maybe. Don't come for me. I got something to say. Because usually what I do have to say is going to cause you to come for me. And then the other is, I can show you better than I can tell you. And that's because I'd rather show you that it can be done rather than just talk about it. So those are my two. That would be my two.
Show me state.
Yeah.
That's what, talk about it, be about it.
Yeah, always.
That's what's up. All right. And then we're going to welcome to the stage none other than Prototype.
I thought you was going to do it. I thought you was going to hit the button.
I do. I guess it's not sounding off because I have my claps on. I don't know why it's not going off.
Man, I guess a disclaimer. I will shit test you.
Mm,
That'll be my disclaimer.
mm. With
So
the
we'll do that.
listen, I was just surprised that you used the curse word. Not that that's what it is.
Oh, because I don't normally, yeah.
But I'm not bugging. That's the surprising part because I already know that as a statement.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
You
so
are the one that you are what they call it. If you ever pledge, they call it the dean of pledges. That's probably who you are. You're the dean of pledges.
I don't know nothing about that.
No worries. It's the one that is in charge of the neophytes and is always making sure they up to date or up to par. So when the big brothers come in, they ready.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's kind of like you.
Gotcha.
Man, listen. That's what's up. Hey, we're gonna get it started. Here we go. Welcome to the stage, none other than Robert in the building.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Chilling. What's up?
RJ. If I had to come out with a disclaimer, it'd be you can try God, but don't try me. Cause I ain't wrapped too tight, man. Like I love God. He's the head of my life, and he has more grace and mercy than I do. And so if you mess with my money, my kids, and my family, you know, we gonna have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I got, y'all. Good to see y'all.
You too. So you gonna at least have a conversation first. You might not just go off.
The conversation is real short.
Oh,
It's real. It's more along the lines of, "Are you ready?"
okay.
What's about to come after this? You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
I got you.
short conversation.
That's what's up. Welcome to the stage, none other than Lost in Translation.
Just everybody bringing their claps, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's
Good
up.
evening, humble dad. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good, bro.
Good. Listen, if I came with a disclosure, what would it be? It would be objects in the rearview mirror may appear closer than they are. And the reason why I say that is by the time you see me, I'm usually gone. You know what I'm saying? Normally, when I'm having a conversation in the future. And I'm just waiting to see if you're going to catch up or not. That's all. 9 times in 10, when I say stuff, it really don't hit people right away. It goes over their head. But I promise you, if you stand up, it'll hit you in your chest.
Pause.
Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah.
All right.
That's right there, bro. That's solid. Yeah. When I go back and listen to things that y'all say, I'm typically like, man, that's what they said. Like, what that I didn't know it meant it like that. That's pretty dope because I'm trying to operate, backstage and whatnot. But going back and hear y'all particular perspective, it's pretty. It's dope to hear it the second time because I don't necessarily get it the first time all the time because I'm doing other stuff. But here we go, man. Listen, shout out to the people that are on their way or didn't make it. I don't know if they want to have this conversation or not. However, here we go. So the first question is pretty simple. What's one issue that needs to be discussed? What's one issue that needs to be discussed? Okay. What's one issue that needs to be discussed? Give you some time to think about it. Anybody ready?
Yeah,
Are
I'll
we
go.
specifically speaking to politics?
Yeah,
Like,
we're talking about politics.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Politics ain't generally my thing, but I'll take one from my good brother Mo Better. Reparations. Where's my money? You know what I'm saying? So
Come on,
that's
prototype.
hey.
You didn't want to go first, so
Yeah, you had to jump out. But yeah, no, that's definitely a topic that needs to be discussed. We had a topic about reparations on our pod, like what it would look like in today's time. Did I invite you to HD?
I think so.
Okay.
No, you.
But yeah, we'll go with the reparations topic.
All right, we're gonna come back to that. I just want everybody to tell me what you got first, because we're gonna go with the why second. Who you got? Who you got going next?
Let's go with Lost. I get Jamie some time to think.
Thank you, sir. The thing that we probably really need to discuss is principles, man. What do you stand for? You know what I mean? Who am I really dealing with here? You know what I mean? A lot of times people like to tell you stuff, but when the rubber meets the road, And when ethics are on the line and your name is on the line, I need to know who I'm dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Who am I surrounding myself with? And I'm gonna go with Robert.
Oh, ruffle some feathers. But I think we need to talk about, do we even need a president at this time in life? Like, think about how we vote on legislation and rules and governance and things like that. Think about the level of education that we have at our fingertips and the ability to think for ourselves, and, you know, wanting to get away from the whole dictatorship and the ideology of one individual being, you know, what is their impact in the greater scheme of things? And is the impact even worth declaring one individual as the representative of America at this point? If we look at everybody's resume, whose resume is worth being idolized, if I could say it that way, as president? You know what I'm saying? So do we even need a president? And Jamie, go ahead, sweetheart.
Well, since Prototype and Robert both took my answers, I'm going to, because I'm all about like uprising. I do believe that the people should uprise, very much so about that. But I'll say mass incarceration. That's what I would say. And white collar crimes. I like to throw that in there. Since our president is a felon, I would like to, let's talk about it.
That's what's up. I would say, was that it?
Yeah, because how can we have felons that can't vote, but we could have a felon that runs for president? Like that doesn't logically make sense, right? So
I have an idea on that one though. I have a thought on that. We're gonna talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, listen. He made it in time, bro.
He may not come when you want him, but he'll be there right on time.
That's hilarious. Literally, it's your time to go. I was about to go, but I'm gonna let you go because this is on you. This is your topic, bro. What is one issue that needs to be discussed as it relates to politics?
Mute monster strikes again. God, man.
Got him.
Well played. I'd say ethics. Ethics.
Don't explain. You don't have to explain yet. We just getting the parts out, and then I'm gonna ask who wants someone to go explain themselves. Okay. So I would say we need to discuss who should be eligible to vote. Who should be eligible to vote? That's the thing I think that is an issue that needs to be talked about, right? So since hopefully everybody heard everybody, who wants to? Oh, well, since you came in last, Dwayne, who would you like to hear explain their perspective? Did you say Prototype? Prototype. He wants you to explain your perspective.
I kind of want to change my perspective, and I would say, not on the reparations, but something that needs to be talked about would be laws that support our, family instead of the separation of family. But as far as reparations is concerned, my thoughts on that. So we should definitely get that based on the head start that everybody else has got, especially like I hear foreigners, they get a nice little stipend when they come over. Everybody get a leg up, and you know what I mean? And we're the only ones that have been pushed back and never, and never made whole. You know what I'm saying? Like even insurance companies make, that's the whole point is to make somebody whole. So the fact that we've never been made whole as, foundation, FBAs, it holds us back tremendously. You know what I'm saying? So I know Dwayne is on the other side of the boat. He's not an FBA, so I understand why he would have some pushback on that. But go ahead, Dwayne.
Yeah, respond to that, Dwayne.
Oh, this is the part I'm gonna respond to the FBA piece of it. A lady at work was the first one that hit me with that. She said, "You ain't an FBA." I said, "I sure ain't, because I don't even know what that means." Had to go back to my desk and get my click clacking on, boy. For real. So yeah. Proto, you the second person that told me that.
What is it to the public? What's the
Isn't that foundational Black American?
Yeah.
So okay, so I was paying attention. Yeah, so she told me I was in that. So, but she would be right, and you would be right too, because, yeah, from my perspective, or better yet, am I supposed to be saying why I chose mine, like why I chose ethics? Or,
you can do either one. You can respond to what Prototype said, and you can also tell us your perspective on yours.
okay, and I respect where Prototype's coming from. I understand it. But yeah, he would be right. But for me, with ethics and politics, I've been conditioned to, and I think we all have been conditioned to believe that politicians shouldn't have ethics, because things are changing. Like you get elected and you go in there and you find out it's different. But I don't think it should be so. I think you should stand on your morals, and you shouldn't allow people to sway you, and especially money. So that's why I would say ethics is important in politics.
So are you saying ethics for the politician? Are you saying
ethics for the politician, and within inside the policies in which they write?
Interesting. Okay, who you want to go next? And then once we finish, anybody can ask a question for somebody to follow up. Who you got?
Lost.
Thank you, sir. I had ethics as well before you got here, so I'm gonna highlight the things that we were talking about before. I think it should be ethics, and I'll tell you why. Because I get tired of people writing laws for the rest of us, and it doesn't touch them. You know what I'm saying? My whole thing is this: if you're in office and you're voting, you know what I'm saying, on things that affect me, but it don't affect you, I can't trust you. I can't, because your best interest is not at heart, for real. Because if anybody could pay you off, you can ignore my vote, or you can ignore the will of the people. You see what I'm saying? And the minute that you go against the will of the people who you say you represent, I think you should be removed immediately. Because I don't think you should have to wait around another 4 years or 6 years, or however they decide they want to do it. I think you should be removed immediately. Because think about it, if you're on your job and you did something that went against the company's rules, they would remove you immediately. So I say that to say this: if you go against the will of your own people, I think you should be removed immediately and get someone else in there who would actually do the will of the people. I'm going to go with Robert next.
Yeah, man, like you hit the nail on the head. I love what you said about how the people that are the deciding factors and how we live, it touches them in no way. When they make decisions on taxes, it don't affect them. And if it does, it affects them in a positive way. If I'm going to say something here, I hope I don't get canceled, but if they're making decisions on homosexuality, they probably don't have homosexual kids. You see what I'm saying? If they're making laws against felons, they've excluded themselves in some sort of way where felons can't vote, but they can run for president. And so my thing is, so my stance was, why even have a president? You know, and much like presidency and the Democratic side and Republican side, I think it's still symbolic to the fact that we are still a divided world. It speaks to the fact that on Sundays is the most divided day for people that go to church, because we have Baptists and Pentecostal and Kojic and all this stuff. And it needs to get to a point, using that as an example, either you love God or you don't. Either you trust God or you don't. Either you believe in being a law-abiding citizen or you don't. You know, all of these rules where when I follow these rules, that makes me a Democrat, but it don't make me a humane citizen, or all these things that make me a Republican, but it doesn't make me a contributor to society. Like at some point, we got to get back to, like you said, it's really, I said, do we have a president? But I think the conversation of ethics, moral compass, you know, what qualifies you? You know what I mean? Like there's, like, it's almost like we don't even have qualifications for presidents anymore. Like we don't have age limits. We don't have discretionary, you know, checks and balances on historical, you know, acts and deeds and stuff like that. And I think the farther out we get with accepting anybody as a president is the willingness to accept everything in governance. And that's, you know, a life without Christ is unknowingly walking in brokenness, and a life without governance is a person that's unruly. And so it scares me because it's almost like we're voting for a person, but not what makes the world better. And I hate to be on my peace kick tonight because I'm not normally like that. I'm not a teddy bear like that. But I'm saddened by the world because I almost think that voting in the two demographics that we have, be it Democrat or Republican, is now serving the ego and it's not serving the people. It's serving what do I have the power to do? Can I buy my presidency? You know, can I sway a room of people to lean in my direction that are not in touch with their community, that are not really going to do the things that they say they're going to do? You know, it's almost contributing to the art and the element of lies. And so we have to get a board of people who are connected to making decisions for the world. Because the truth of the matter is, once we hire or elect a Democrat, it creates rebellion with Republicans. And if we elect to nominate a Republican, now we create dissension and hate within the Democrats, and we feel oppressed and all this other craziness. And the conversation becomes about being held down and held back versus being accountable within your own ego space. I'm done. I just feel like when we vote for a president, elect a president, select a president, we have literally gotten away from the main thing being the main thing. And that's creating a safe environment, an equal environment, a constructively productive environment. And I just think that's not the focus no more. We're focused on the person. And we got Kanye talking about he want to run. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like, why though? And because again, it gets back to the ego of what I have the reach to do versus what I'm called to do. And that's a whole nother conversation in and of itself. Jamie, come on, hit us up. Talk to us.
So my answer was like trying to figure out why it would be okay for our president to be a felon. And so, of course, in our system, our judicial system, there are always words and technicalities, right? And it's things that we don't necessarily look into or understand. So, Robert just said, what are our criteria for president, right? It's like real simple, uncannily simple, right? You have to be over 35. You have to be a natural born citizen. And it doesn't matter if you have a criminal record. Did y'all know that? Okay. But the criteria for a felon, what you lose when you become a felon is you lose the right to vote. You can't run for a political office, which is weird. Right. But I feel like the rules are only applied if they do not like you or you cannot be bought. And so because we have allowed people to develop a system that benefits them and word it to where it doesn't make sense to us, but yet it applies to us, we run into these things where we have president options like Trump and Biden and Kennedy, and I don't know who this other person is, but these are people we don't even know. We don't know them. They've never come to our communities and helped us in any way, shape, or form. They've never talked about anything that would relevantly change our lives, right? But yet these are our options. And so I agree with Robert. I don't think we should have a president. I think that the citizens or the people should say, hey, well, I want them to boycott the election. I've been asking for this for years. Because once you do that, then you'll realize that maybe we really don't have the power, because it's going to be, you're going to see them exude a level of power against the people that you didn't know that they had. It's the illusion of inclusion, right? It's the illusion that you matter. But technically, our fear is to realize that we don't really matter. I think that's why the people won't boycott the election, is because it's the fear to realize that we have been playing their game this entire time. And so that's all I got to say. You know what I'm saying? That is, but boycott, 2024 election. And I'm willing to go to jail. You feel me? Like, I'm all for it. You could say, Jamie told me to do it. I'll go with a smile. But just make sure we all on one accord. You feel me? I'll be up in there like, yeah, shut it down. But okay. Renee popped in.
Y'all be having these Baptist answers. Not Baptist answers. I'm telling y'all, y'all benedictions that y'all be having when y'all say, I'm coming to a close. And then y'all don't actually close. Y'all say something.
Indulge, guys. Indulge.
Indulge. That's all I'm gonna say, and then you say some more. Y'all have some really good thoughts, though. I love it. Renee, on you.
What's the question? It's not going across the screen anymore.
What is one issue that needs to be discussed as it relates to politics?
That's a good question.
Yeah, we can run it back for you. Lost said ethics. Wayne said ethics. Proto said reparations. Robert said, remind me, Robert.
We don't need a president.
We don't need a president. And Jamie said
boycott. She said boycott it.
I heard that. So everyone had good answers. We need a.
And mine was we need to talk about who can vote, because everybody don't need to.
These are all really good answers. It's only one thing, didn't it? It's a lot of things that we need to discuss.
Yeah, just
are they decent human beings? Because the people that we have, I don't think they're decent human beings. And you can be a piece of shit and run for president, I guess, obviously. So
that is it.
I don't know what happened.
You have to go out and come back in.
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you, but your camera froze though.
It was probably that expletive.
I'm sorry. Well, you can be a piece of crap person and run for presidency. So I'm gonna say character. Yeah, they need to work on their character.
Okay. So if you could go out and come back in, we'll try to see if that works.
Okay.
All right. So we have some good stuff. So is there anybody who wants to ask somebody to elaborate on their particular response? Go ahead, Robert.
Now, Jamie, I love you, but I want to know in 2024, why are you willing to go to jail? I just want to know.
Well, because
and I apologize for my language. I didn't know another word to use.
No, you're fine.
No, I was joking.
You're fine. Go ahead. Hold on. Was you finished, Renee?
Yes. They need to work on their to see if they're good people. Because right now we don't have good people running for presidency, and I feel like we should not have a president. We need to be single for a couple of years.
Gotcha.
We should see other people.
Weigh our options, because this ain't it.
Gotcha, Jamie. Go ahead and respond to that. Why are you willing to go to jail?
Oh, because somebody's going to have to get, in trouble for it. But I'm willing for it to go to jail for the change, because I'm really tired of the American people falling for the okie doke. I just would prefer for us to really do what leverage the power that we have. Do an uprise. Do what they did. Isn't that how America started in the first place? Is they uprose and they left. They came here. They lied because they were all felons. They really committed treason against Britain, right? And so technically they were felons themselves, and they came over here and they stole this land. They created documents so that people that could not read, and they stole a land that didn't belong to them. Okay, criminals all the way around. So why would we not reflect the leadership that we've had this whole time?
Okay, I just don't think you got it. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not nobody's martyr, and I ain't going to jail for the fact that we don't need a president. I just think we don't need a daggone president. And the reason why I say that, my thought is challenged there. And hear me out. This is on topic, but slightly to the left. Because I was today years old, realizing that Rosa Parks, when she was, brave enough to sit on the bus and folks escorted off the bus and even arrested her. I was today years old when I realized Rosa Parks had a car. And so, Husband had a car, drove to work every day. And so I what I'm trying to say is that because of the way history works, we try to isolate and say these are the instances that drove the train and equality, when the truth of the matter is 50 black people could have sat on the bus and said, this is what we're going to do. But at the end of the day, the powers that be that make the decision, it wouldn't have changed until they made a decision to make it equal, period. And so I want you to consider not going to jail, because jail is bad. Jail is crazy. And I'd even go a long ways to say, just looking at you, I could be judging you right now, but you don't like you ever been. And so this is why, because I think sometimes, just like presidents, we say things out of our mouth that our heart don't believe because it sounds good. How many times has President such and such came and said he's going to do this, that, and the third, and all we got out of it was an Obama phone? And so I just kind of so I don't want to contribute, and I don't even want us on this conversation to contribute to the demise of pointless conversations where you're not going to jail, sweetheart. It sounds good.
Oh no, I would actually like so that's I love that I don't look like what I've been through. Yeah. I think that's a beautiful thing right there. But I have boycotted. I have lost election and then continued to do exactly what I said I was going to do for the last 3 years, and then ran again and still lost, even though the people asked for me, right? So like I have really, I have done.
But have you gone to jail and ate fish heads?
I've gone to jail and I haven't ate.
So you went there and
because fasted. I am bougie now. Hold on now. I did cry the whole time. Don't get that twisted.
Okay, Jamie.
Okay.
All right, Jamie. You a thug, baby.
No, I have really. And I would do all of it all over again for the change, right? But so
America ain't worth it. I ain't going to jail for America.
It's really, but I was going to tell you what has revealed to me though in doing that is how brainwashed the people are, and how scared they are of elite people, that they would allow somebody to demonize like that and then cower, right? That's what I did learn. I did learn that the people are very scared of those 10%ers that have the authority to make decisions.
I love it. I love your answers, sweetheart.
At least you know what you will stand for. You know what I'm saying? And you know why. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important for people to listen to Robert and Jamie's perspective, everybody's perspective, but the one in which to say we don't need a president or boycott something. That's like somebody's sound is. I think it's good to enter that as a discussion, because it has been so conditioned to choose one of the two, and never really, if there's a third or fourth party, it's been that way for some time. So, however, I think that even though it's a normal suggestion, I think that there's going to be hard to do, right? That's not going to be able to pull off. Not this go round. So let me ask this question. Since it's going to be a president and we don't like our choices, what are characteristics of the perfect president? What are the characteristics of the perfect president? Somebody have feedback. Is that me? It is me? No, it's not me.
I think it might be Renee's.
Okay.
Well, the thing about that a question like that is understanding everything the job entails. And I think there's so many secrets when it comes to the actual duties of the president. Some of the decisions they actually have to make it's a hard call to make, to be like, okay, this person said these kind of characteristics. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all play sports, so I can say what kind of coach I want. You know what I mean? What kind of coach would best serve needs for me to be better. But I don't know on the other end what kind of decisions the president really makes, because you know what I'm saying, like, everything is such a it's such a conspiracy theory that you don't know what's true. So you just kind of be like, all right, I'm just not engaging because I don't know what to believe at this point. So to actually know the true job, then you can't even say the characteristics unless you know what they're really doing.
And so who you got going next?
I'm gonna go Lost.
Thank you, Prototype. I think the president should have a heart for all the people and not just the people who voted for him. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times, man, when we get into these situations that we have people who only think that the president is the president of the person who they voted for, and they're going to ignore the other half of the country. I've always been a proponent that the president should have a cabinet of the opposing side's people, you know what I'm saying, just to keep them honest. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it. You already got your people in places of power and position, but you still should have the ear of the other side. And I think that's the best way to do it, is to make sure that you stay in touch with both sides of the country. Because think about it, when you become president of all people and not just the side that won. And I think if you do it that way, you would have more people on board, all pulling in the same direction versus people saying, hey, that's not my president because I didn't vote for him. So if you have a president who has an ear and a heart for all people, I think that is a characteristic that goes a long way as far as leadership is concerned, because you're concerned for everybody and you take that in consideration. I'm going to go with Renee this time. I want to hear what she has to say.
That was dope.
Well, thank you for picking me to go next. So I agree with what you said, but I also think that a characteristic, they need to have a servant mindset. Like, I think a lot of people get into politics, or I guess being president, they be real selfish. So they only have like the agenda to best serve, I guess, their group of people, because all of these promises that we've been made as voters, we haven't received. Well, I haven't. I don't know. I haven't benefited from anything that they've told me that they were going to do. I'm not sure about anybody else, but I just think they should have a servant mindset, and then like Law said, they need to have people to balance them out. Like, everybody should not be on your side, because if we all think alike, how can we really know what's really needed? We all on the same wavelength as far as our thought process. So we need to have diversity in what we believe in, what we think, and how we think the world should be ran, so we can get the gist of everybody, not just what best serves us. Let's see. Prototype.
I kind of already went.
Yeah, okay, wait a minute. Hold on. I thought you did, but Robert, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Humble Dad, team, Congress. I don't think that I don't even know if it's like a characteristic, man. I'm real sensitive tonight. Can y'all tell? I'm like real, like I'm sensitive.
Yeah, it's way different than last week.
Yeah, it's weighing on.
Hey, own it, brother. Own it.
I feel like a little teddy bear tonight, man.
That's what it is.
Are you acting like the 7-minute dude?
Yeah. No, I ain't gonna go that far, but I don't know if it's even a characteristic, Humble Dad. I'm of the thought that, I just think that people that do anything in life need to be called to do it. And I think part of the problem is people that's doing anything that doesn't work is because they have the aptitude to do it, but they weren't made to do it. I think, Noah was the only Noah. Moses was the only person that could do that. Like, and just jumping like David, because the only David, he's the only little dude that could have been him to beat a big guy. You know what I mean? And of course, Jesus is the only person that could descend from heaven and come down on earth and like love people that hate him, praise him one day and still have the heart of the people even while he's hated. You know what I mean? And everybody's not called to do that. And so again, it goes back to people getting selected because of their reach, and then they lead out of their ego. Now that I'm here, now that you've elected me to be here, you're not even on my mind. I'm just trying to serve self and flex my ability to make you kind of operate under my rule. You know what I mean? And so it's not a characteristic, man. You got to be called to it. You got to be called.
Let me interject. I have a thought of what you're thinking. Are you referring to similar to before Israel got a king?
I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because God was in charge, but then the people was like, "Nah, we need a king, bro," because everybody else got one. So you know what I'm saying? Can we be like them? And then once that happened, Israel began to have problems.
Right.
They had problems before that.
Nah.
No.
What do you mean? Y'all didn't read Judges?
Not the same.
Oh Lord, we don't need to have Bible study tonight.
We might listen.
We don't.
Might as
Judges
well
what?
talk to some
Judges
religion,
what? I
man.
got
We
my
might as well
Bible
go-
right here. Judges what?
All of it. There was
We don't need to have Bible study tonight.
all of it.
What I'm saying
Politics
is
and
that
religion all in the same night. Oh boy.
politics and religion. So what I'm
Going
saying is
down.
that it was not as bad as having a king in charge and making the decisions of the entire people. Like, it got
Let
really
me make sure I bring clarity to that too.
Go ahead.
One of the things is like when one of the things we fail as men, and they failed then when they tried to kind of take what God gave them as wisdom and they tried to put their own intellect on it. And that's where division came in multiple. Like I can almost go down to every king for real, and talk about when they got to a point where God got them there, you know, pathology wise, right? They conceded to God's wisdom, God's steps, and things of the such. And then they got to a space that said, "Hold on, but I think I'm smarter than the wisdom."
Yeah, I can do it this way. My way.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so I think that's what you're speaking to,
Yeah.
Uncle Dave, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that the people didn't do a bad job by themselves, but then they isolated it to one person being the one that makes the decisions for everybody. You know what I'm saying? That was detrimental. You know what I mean? Because there was a sense of order with God just being, you know, how they positioned it to where God was the main authority. That's what I'm saying. Prototype. I'm saying it just got worse as there were king. Even David, the one that is written as after God's heart, that dude was vicious as it related to how he treated.
I don't like David. I'm not a fan of David at all. Not even a little bit.
You don't have to be a fan of David. But I'm just saying.
He's monumental in the text.
I believe he has terrible character. This character is absolutely horrible.
And there was a lot of the kings, though, is what I'm saying.
Which is what I just said, yeah.
It was a lot of the kings. So I'm just saying that's what I think that Robert is alluding to when he's saying not to have a president because it has caused division. You know what I'm saying? Because it's now like you got to choose a side, and if you don't choose the side that I choose, then there got to be an issue with you, not me. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, Dwayne. What you got? You talking on mute, and I'm gonna give you. Oh, there we go.
No, I was talking to Self. Me and Self had a moment. No, I was trying to figure. You went back to what Lost said. I was trying to take notes, and Lost was the one who says one that represents both sides. So that's what I was pondering on, and I'm glad that you hit that because that's true. One that considers both sides, not just the side that voted for them, but the side that didn't vote for them. I think that's key. I think somebody said that in this last election too, but I'll digress on that. Then Renee, she stated about the servant mindset, or that's what that characteristics, and then Robert said called to it. I think it's beautiful. Each of those, like you do have to be called to it. So the perfect piece of it is, you know, people get what they deserve sometimes, and that's what y'all were talking about. In the hey, you want a king? Okay. You want a president? Okay. But the beautiful thing about it, though, is in a representative government, we are the ones who are electing the people to govern us. We consent to be governed. So what happens to us is based on our choices. Right. So from a societal standpoint, it's more of the cohesion of the people that's important rather than who we pick. Because if we are divided, why are we divided? Are we speaking to our neighbors? Are we getting down there and are we having those face-to-face communications with them, like locally? Because I do see that there is a divisive spirit that is out there that would much rather us to be separated than for us to be together. So for the characteristics is one that the people represents the people. Period. That's the characteristic for me. One that represents the people.
One that represents the people. That's what. Has everybody went?
Oh no, I didn't go.
Let's get it, Jamie.
All right, so this is good because I'm about to couple everybody's answer together. So
Yeah.
the president is really just the face, right? If we're gonna have the president, Dwayne ended it right. He needs to represent the people. That means he needs to be willing to go up against the House, the Congress, and the Senate. That means that he has to be able to be their enemy if needed, because they're not representing the people that voted him in. Now, what I love about this conversation is we focus on the president, but we don't focus on our Congress, our Senate, and our House of Representatives. They are the ones who make our rules. He just reinforces them. So while we're focused on one person, what we do is we vote for the one person and then we mark off everybody else. We never even looked into the people we mark off for Senate, for Congress, and House of Representatives. And those are the people we need to worry about. Those are the people that get bought. Those are the people that are bought before they even get in there. And so what I love is, as I said, is an illusion of inclusion here. Like in our judicial system here in our little Tullahoma town, we have a mayor, but we have aldermen. Aldermen make the decisions with the budget. But what is so interesting is our aldermen vote in this thing called a city administrator. The city administrator is the one that makes all of our decisions. Okay. And so everybody focuses on these people that are voted in who are bought. Okay. They actually represent the 5 families that technically own all the land in our area. And they are told what to do. But the city admin is the one who holds all the power. They have the ability, that one little person right there has the ability to hire and fire, to demote, promote, to spend money, not spend money, to excommunicate a job, to even reprimand the very people that voted them in office. So if we look at our big judicial system, we are looking at the wrong person, because it's the electoral votes that even vote our president into place. So who's your senator? Who is your congressman? Do you know them? Have you ever seen them in your area? Are they worth voting for? Did they serve in local government? Those are the questions that I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's good. Turn your mic down, Dwayne.
You said turn my mic down?
Yeah.
I mean, I just like the president is not necessarily needed. He just looks good. Just like our mayor, he's not necessarily needed. He just looks good. He's just there. He go to sleep sometimes. Like they be in the middle of a meeting, homeboy be snoring. Just snoring. Because he's not needed.
That's crazy. Did you, Dwayne, did you want to say something what Jamie said? And then you go on mute. Like what?
Yeah, my bad. I had it backwards. Yeah, Jamie, I agree with you. I think we just haven't gotten there yet, because as a representative government, that's just one of the branches we do get to vote for, is the president, right? So we do get to from the legislative side, from Congress, we do get to vote for them as for who is going to go and represent us. But then it does start at the local level, like as for our school board, our sheriffs, and all that other jazz that we now. What I think we have been lulled into, though, is drawing sides and saying that I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican, and because of those, like what you're saying, as for the imagery of choice. Or how did you put it?
Yeah, the illusion of choice.
Illusion of choice. So in that, it's like you have people who will vote down ballot. I would say I favor more on the Republican side, but that does not mean I would not vote for a Democrat. Okay, so with that, as I go through, some people will just go through and just check all the boxes down. I'm not going to vote for a Republican that does not have my personal interests in mind. So from that standpoint, it is the personal responsibility of, and as a matter of fact, that's what it says in the Declaration of Independence, is the right and the duty of the people to put off a government that doesn't represent them. So as for Republicans, there has been Republicans for years since I've been politically conscious that does not represent me. So it is my right and my duty to put off that. And the way that we do it is through voting. So in that, it's our responsibility as a populace that whenever there is a person that comes up that does not put forth our interests, it's our job, it's our duty to get them out of there. So it starts at the local level. So I agree with you. It starts at the local level and it goes all the way up. So every opportunity, and this is what confused me about whenever you made mention of boycotting. How about if there is the illusion of choice that you don't have a choice? And that's the piece that gets me. Is like, I do have the ability to vote. I do have the ability to participate. But what if the playground is so stymied that it does not give me the? I think it's Robert who made mention where you, from a conspiracy standpoint, you don't know what is true. What if the field is like that? And I think it's like that for a reason. Obama was the one who stated that if you pump enough misinformation out there, people are not even going to know what's true. And that is a tactic. That is a straight up tactic to get people to no longer participate in their government. And the way I look at it is like somebody comes to you and tells you, hey, don't play. It's a big old pickup game. And they're like, hey, don't play. Don't go out there because it's dangerous. It's dangerous. And it's you might get hurt. And next thing you know, you see them out there playing. And I look at it like that. It's like they want you to be on the sideline. But you get one vote. And as a form of participating, vote the person that has your best interest. And just like you, Jamie, you said that you ran. Man, that's admirable. I respect that to the utmost. Hey, if you don't find somebody, be that person. So I do agree with you that we should be looking at it from not just the president. No, we have the ability to be active. But you know what? This republic was made for an informed populace. We have to be informed. And due to what we've been hearing about misinformation and disinformation, it makes it very difficult for us to have the right information to be able to make the right decisions. I said all the time, I could do so much more with the truth than with a lie. So much more. So I'm going to put it out there. I'm a Trump supporter. And Trump said, hey, fake news is the enemy of the people. Not news. News is what it is. Fake news is the enemy of the people, because as a citizenry who has the right to vote and the privilege to vote, what can we do if we're not given the right and true information? We're going to go out there and vote for somebody off of a lie, and that makes the media, who is pushing out lies, the enemy of the people, and I believe that.
That's good. Renee, did you have something you wanted to add?
I think I already know.
That's cool. You may have had something you wanted to add. That's why I was asking. This is my thought process. We haven't got there, but I believe that the reason why I said what I said as far as who should be able to vote is because most people do not research anything. They read captions. They'll watch one debate. They may watch two debates, but they will not sit down and research anything. It's like, okay, well, I've been a Republican all my life, so I'm gonna vote Republican. I've been a Democrat all my life, so I'm gonna vote Democrat. Never sitting down and saying, you know what are my values and what are their values? Right? Reading more than one article, more than one headline, being 18 and saying, yeah, I can vote. I don't understand. As I've matured, I don't understand why that is the age when the mind of an individual doesn't get fully developed until after 25. So we want 18-year-olds to make the decision of 18, 19, 20, 21 decisions of who's going to be the next president. And most of them don't even look to see further than what somebody told them of who to look at. And additionally, I would say, so who would I say should be able to vote? I would say raise the age to 25. I would say the person needs to be at least a high school graduate. GED is cool. I would say someone that is working. I would say they already said, not a felon, because I mean that's something that you just lost. You can't vote because of your status of being a felon. I mean, you don't even really value the rules that are already set in front of you in the first place, right? So those are just a few that I would say that we can start with, and that's only because if we're going to vote. Me personally, when I've researched what I've researched, I don't neither party has our best interests at heart. They really work together. The only person that I've seen and researched that has done well is Trump. Like literally, that's what I saw with my own eyes and my studying and everything. That based on all the people that have, and then my wife, she brought in Kennedy, and I've been listening to hear what he has to say through Dr. Phil and Joe Rogan, and he has some really good ideas as well, And so I think it's important for people to look at that. My last thing that I'm gonna say, I really don't understand. This is and I know that I'm getting canceled for this. I just do not understand why Black people vote for Democrats. I'm gonna just be 100 with you. I don't understand if once you realize the history of the Democrat Party, such as they really were the start of the Ku Klux Klan, Planned Parenthood. Did y'all know that that last year, did anybody know how many lives were terminated last year in the woman's stomach?
Millions.
1,500,000. Well, 1,050,000, something like that. Right?
And
Okay. And it went down just a little bit in 2020. It was like 990,000 during a pandemic. And do you know that 30% of those are from Black women? And do you know?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I respect, everybody's different opinion, but why does what a woman do with her body matter to anybody other than her?
Oh, that's a great question. I love that you asked that question. Well, it didn't just matter to her when she laid down and had sex with the dude. She got the sperm, huh?
Right. What if he doesn't want it as well? What if they both agree that they don't want the baby? So should they keep it because people think they should keep it, or should they do what is best for the both of them? Because 9 times out of 10, if a woman keeps the baby and the man doesn't want it, then they like, well, you should have thought about that before you had the baby. And then now she's on welfare, or she's trying to put him on child support. And then people say, oh, you shouldn't put him on child support because you shouldn't have the baby. So why are we worried about what a woman does with it?
All right, I got you. Right. So first of all, let me premise that I've been involved in this situation. Okay. Me and my late wife, we had an abortion. I think she may have been 21. Something like that. So I'm invested in that regard, that when I sat back and said nothing, that was a problem. I still have to deal with that. I appreciate God for being a forgiving God, right? 2, I sat on the board at a women's clinic, and I talked to the board. It's called Mid Cities Clinic here in HEB, where I was a board member, and I talked to the nurses, I talked to the doctors. And they are the ones that informed us that it is a collective effort, right? There is a misinformation, right? Why is it important for me to say something? Is because the person inside that woman's body doesn't have a voice. right? And as the word of God says, it says He knew you before you was even created. Before you was in your mother's womb, it was created. You were created. And then the people that are having the intercourse, that means that they're misinformed about what the purpose of sex is. Because sex is designed to be between a man and a husband and a wife to create life and to put it in a position, put that child in a position of where they will have a much more healthier life, right?
What if that married couple doesn't want to go through that process?
It's still, I wouldn't change the process, the mindset.
I mean, I'm kind of on like Renee's side. Like if that woman decides to have, I don't know if I can say that word or not.
You terminate pregnancy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She decides to terminate a pregnancy.
So get into it.
You know what I'm saying? It's really on her, and it's less of a burden on the community. You know what I'm saying? Like a decision like that, based around the fact that if you look at our numbers, with the highest rated single parent homes anyway, and most of them single parent kids ended up in jail, going through some, doing some type of prison, or it's not a good situation for the kids that actually come out here and are in bad situations, or single parent home situations. So regardless, if women are getting abortions, I'm not going to, faith wise, okay, but carnal wise, it's not really you know what I'm saying. I don't see the issue, but I understand how believers could be like XYZ. But carnally, it is.
I'm gonna get lost. I'm gonna get you. Hold on. Go ahead, Lost.
I watch a lot of podcasts, and I always promise myself that when I see something wrong, I'm gonna say something. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this because I think it needs to be said as far as point of order when it comes to having conversations. I've noticed that anytime a guest has a particular topic, we have people who interrupt him and actually stop his train of thought before he completed. And I've seen it mostly with our sisters. And I'm asking you, please don't do that. Please don't do that, because most people will sit back and they'll wait their turn. But for some reason, we act like we have to talk over people. I'm going to put it to you like this. Most of y'all probably don't know where I'm from. I'm from Kevin Samuels' show. Okay. And a lot of times when people used to talk over him, he used to say, "You can't overtalk me." And it's his show. And I don't like it when people stop the host from leading his train of thought to interrupt for their particular itch that needs to be scratched. So my thing is, I think Humble Dad has a particular style he wants to run his show. And I'm asking for everybody on his behalf, because he probably won't say it, but I'm going to say it for him, to make sure that we follow the rules of the show of the host and allow him to direct the show as he sees fit. And Humble Dad, that's all I got to say.
For sure. I appreciate that. Dwayne, what you got?
Yes. I know why she did that. Renee, I believe you're jumping in from where you feel that you had to jump in and say something, because from a societal issue, that's something that is would you consider that's important to you?
I just wanted to know why it was important, because men don't have children, women do. So why do men feel like they need to make decisions for women?
And that's
because it's a lot of ways that people can get pregnant. So if you telling me if I get raped, I got to have a baby because it goes against whatever. But if I don't want it, then I'm forced to have it because people think that I should have it because of how they feel, not how I feel as a person.
Okay, so with that, from I like how Law said, from a point of order, men have a duty and responsibility, and men are supposed to look out for the weakest and lowest in society, the defenseless. And what's more defenseless than a baby? What's more defenseless than a baby in a womb? And I think that's the main problem with America, is with weak men not standing up for that premise. And I respect what HD said. He's speaking from a standpoint where he participated in that, and I'll jump in that too. Me too. But then I can then sit there and say that was a cowardly act. So now that I have the opportunity for my eyes to be open, and just like what he said, the grace of God to forgive me, being a forgiving God as he is, I now know that my actions was wrong, right? So whenever I now see, like even what Law said, whenever I see something wrong, I gotta say something, right? So the stance in which you're standing on is to defend the right of the woman to make a choice. Now, the choice that's being made, is it a moral one? I don't believe so. And the reason why I say this is because what I've been hearing is it's just a clump of cells. Whenever I listen to the argument from the other side, it's just a clump of cells. Now, what people don't understand is that same clump of cells, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them right in front of me. We are all considered just a clump of cells. We just had the ability to develop, and we weren't terminated. So in that process, right, and going to prototype your point, right? What if two married couples right now decided that their 3-year-old in the next room, right, is not suiting their lifestyle? Do they have the right to terminate them? No, they do not. The difference now is we have been convinced to think that baby that's inside the womb is something else. That's the thing. We have been convinced that it's less than. If you put a cake in the oven and you allow it to go until the time it's supposed to be done, you're gonna have a cake. Or you put the batter in there, you're gonna have a cake. If you take it out before the time that it's supposed to be done, it won't be. So we're taking it upon ourselves as human beings to interject. And I think we said it earlier about whenever it comes to being a president or whatever, once we go outside of what God's order is, guess what we have? We have chaos. Now we have women who are naturally built, in my opinion, to have that natural emotion of caring. And we have them out there wanting to champion death. That's what I'm concerned about. Talking about my body. At the end of the day, to me, it's just selfishness from both the part of the woman, and the part of the man. And I digress.
So are we honing on just that one sin, because we all sin? So abortion shouldn't be like, oh, you have to continue to ask for forgiveness, because we sin daily. If we're just gonna go on the spiritual aspect of it, we're all still gonna sin. So if someone has an abortion or if they don't, one sin isn't greater than the next.
Just so you know, you can't keep saying the word. You have to say maybe unalive or terminate.
A word. Okay. So if you terminate a pregnancy, it's just as bad as judging, or I guess committing adultery or fornicating. So we can't just say, oh, well, it goes against God. A lot of things go against God and people continue to do it, but we're not harping on these other sins.
If you know better, do better. I'll put it like that. If you know better, do better.
Robert, Dwayne, let me ask you a question, Renee. You have children, right?
I do.
Okay. So do you discipline your children?
I do.
Why?
Good.
Why do you discipline your children?
Oh, because we have rules, and when you don't follow the rules, there are consequences.
Okay, so why do you have rules?
To have order and structure.
Right. So the order and structure is that we should be protecting those that are not able to be protected. One, additionally, men are designed to protect, right? Because you all are designed to nurture. Somebody need to turn down. I don't know if it's me, right? So so when a person says, "Men, why do men need to have something to say?" I would say to them, that's a really bad answer, because you ask men to do everything else. The reason why women were able to even terminate pregnancies were because of men. Are you aware of that?
No, but I know women are left to raise these children most of the times by themselves without men. So it's like a double-edged sword. So you don't want us to have the to terminate the pregnancy, and then if we keep the baby, then we're left raising the baby alone if you're not married. And then sometimes babies cost a lot of money, and so then that could be put more strain on her financially if she's not getting any help from the father of the child. So it's a lot of things that go into the whole situation.
No, that's not what it is, right? And I'm glad that you're here and having this conversation. I think that you're uninformed.
Very.
How am I uninformed?
I'll tell you, okay. The design of Planned Parenthood was to eliminate black people.
Okay.
Are you aware of that?
I'm not surprised.
No, but you're not. Are you aware of that?
No.
Okay, so that's one. 2, 80% of the clinics are in Black and Hispanic neighborhoods. Were you aware of that?
I don't think that's necessarily true. Well, I'm gonna say where I'm from.
Listen, one thing about me, I don't just say stuff. Like, I go research things, right? And remember, I told you I was on a board. Okay, so there are, and then the next thing is that what's the percentage of Black women in America? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Okay.
6%.
About it may be a little bit more now, though. Okay, so 6% of the Black population is women, correct? Now, would you say that all 6% have they terminate pregnancies?
That all 6% have terminated pregnancy?
Yes.
Probably no.
Okay, so we're going to even reduce it to I'll give you 2%. Okay. Did you know, like I said before, that 30% of the terminated pregnancies are by Black women? So 2% of the population is terminating 30% of the babies. That's a problem. Did you know that the majority, 50% of the terminated pregnancies are by women that go for a second time? Did you know that? Okay. Did you also know that when a man says, yes, I want to keep the baby, 80% of the time the woman keeps the baby? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay. So majority of guys, that's the whole reason why that whole premise was, it's my body, I do what I want. So that the man would be X out of the equation is what I'm saying. So respectfully, I'm saying I think that you're misinformed based on what you're saying. And I'm here to educate. Robert, go ahead.
I don't got nothing on it because I don't want to attack Renee. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Hopefully you don't see it as an attack.
Yeah,
I don't feel like it's an attack on anything
no,
because
I ain't done yet.
I know people who's living it. That's fine.
I ain't done yet.
I'm sorry, you're not done, Robert. Go ahead.
Put her on mute. No, I'm joking. Put her on mute. But like, I first of all, I'd like to say that we're talking about, getting on welfare, and I don't have any statistics on this like Humble Dad, but I would leverage myself to believe that somebody who gets on welfare after conceiving a baby in any way, in whatever that looks like, they were probably on welfare or close to it before they got on it. You don't just have no kid and just get on welfare. That's not how that works. You were broke before you had sex. That's the first piece. The second piece is we got to stop using the whole, unwanted sex as the reason for it's my body, because I do know this for a fact that only 1% of reported terminations are because of unwanted sex. So stop with the "it's my body" crap. Stop with that. Like, as a Black woman on this podcast, going to the uninformed comments, can we stop saying that, please? Can we stop using that as a cop-out for bad decisions, whether it be by the male, whether it be by the female? And I'm thankful for legislation and law that's kind of try to govern our dumb choices, because now we have people using the "it's my body" in alignment with me having unwanted sex when it's only reported at 1%. In other words, 29 of every 1,000 terminated pregnancies are from unwanted sex. So stop, please. Like, let this be the last day that you do that. And then the last thing I'd like to say is that right, wrong, or indifferent, as it pertains to this stance, it does require a level of governance. It does require some sort of metric of control and so this is why we don't need a president per se, but we do need legislation because we're putting ourselves in a space where we're going to live by one person's ideology or what they represent versus what is really good for the masses. And so there has to be governance, there has to be legislation, there has to be votes on, in terms of how Congress does this, that, and the third. I don't know. They need to put 100 laws on a ballot and we just go in and vote on 100 laws and let that be how they go. You put terminated pregnancy, everybody go in and vote on that. And then we operate as a world on what we all decide law should look like. Then you get your black butt in there and you better vote if it's going to benefit what you look like instead of voting for a person. Because when you vote for people and you're uninformed, you say crazy stuff like, it's my body. Please try your best not to say that again, because that's just inaccurate. It's inaccurate. And another thing, this whole thing of I get pregnant and I got to raise the baby by myself. I'm a living witness that the lady in my life at the time that decided to raise the baby by herself, that was by choice. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm telling you right now, I just caught a message on Father's Day that talked about men who have their children in their life actually have higher self-esteem. So why would I want you to have the baby outside of my care when I know I need to be a provisionary for my child, but equally it impacts my self-esteem? Yes, I want my kid around me. Yes, I love my children. I think men are, unfortunately, we operate out of trauma and triggers, and then we operate out of what we're allowed to do from a society perspective than what we really believe in our hearts. And we have what sounds good or what speaks to the victim that overrides what's really right and what's wrong. And I feel bad that my children, they had to live without me for a certain period of time. But I'll tell you this, it isn't because I wanted her to be a single mother. I didn't want her to struggle. That was never my intention. Just because we didn't work out don't mean I want you to struggle or my kids to struggle. Struggle was out of your own ego because you asked for emotional intelligence. And now when I'm trying to have an intelligent logistical conversation with you, we get back to your feelings and you say crazy stuff like it's my body, or if you don't want me, you don't want the kids either. Crazy. Don't make me go there, Humble Dad. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. I digress. I'm done. I'm finna log off, actually.
Don't
This
go.
is crazy.
Don't go, Robert.
I'm gonna ask Renee, did she have anything she wanted to say?
No, I really don't. I mean, because no one really answered my question. I gave y'all ideas on different things, so I'm just listening to it. So I still didn't really get an answer.
What was your particular question?
Like, why does it matter, like, what a woman does with the pregnancy?
Okay.
If the two people, if I get pregnant by you and we decide that we don't want the baby, why does it matter for everybody else if we decide that we don't want to keep the pregnancy?
Why do you think you get to make that decision on your own? Is the question.
I said me and you, we don't want the baby, so we're gonna terminate. But everybody else feel the type of way if we agree that we don't want it.
I'm about to explain to you, right? And that's why Dwayne said what he said as well. Okay. So, when do you think the child becomes a child?
When do I think a child becomes, like, at the point of conception?
Okay. So you believe at the point of conception that it's a human being. Is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you believe that 2 human beings should decide if another human being lives.
I feel like they have that right. Yes.
Okay. So do you believe that if me and somebody else on the panel didn't want somebody else to live, that we can make that decision?
That's a different circumstance. Y'all didn't create that.
Why is that different?
Because you didn't create it.
Why would we have to?
It's not your responsibility to make sure this person is kept for it and all of those good things. Like, those are reaches.
No, it's not. Bet. Watch this. Okay, so it's not a reach, bro. Why? Okay, so you have a house. You live somewhere.
Yes.
Okay. Let's say that the builders decided we're just gonna tear your house down. Would you be okay with that?
Would I be okay? No, but there's nothing that I could do about it.
So you won't want no rules or anything in place so that they can't do that?
Can you repeat that, please? What's the scenario?
The scenario is the person that created her house anymore. So we're going to destroy the house. I'm saying, would that be okay with her? She said it wouldn't be okay with her, but there's nothing she can do about it. But aren't there lives at stake though? You and your kids?
You don't. I mean, you can just go to the point you're trying to prove.
I'm asking those questions to see what your perspective is, because you're saying that it doesn't matter, and I'm saying that there's a human that's inside of the woman's body, and you're saying that person doesn't matter. That's what you're saying, and I'm like, how could you? That's why it matters, because the person inside their body matters. And then I gave you the stats that people mostly use it as a contraceptive. As opposed, you know what I'm saying? They terminate pregnancies because they had unprotected sex. So now they're like, okay, well, we can basically terminate a life. And in some places, I think the guy in Virginia,
Yep.
he was like terminate the pregnancy even after the baby has come out the womb.
Two choices.
Not to mention the Democratic Party, they had a bill called, I talked about this before, but they had the Born Alive rule, the Born Alive bill, and every Democrat that was able to vote on it said that they were against that. They were okay with, after the baby was born, that the doctor could still terminate that baby. So you believe that as well?
No.
Okay, so you don't believe that part, but if it's inside her stomach, then it's okay then.
I mean, not at a certain point, no. After a certain, as far as like second, third trimester, no. But first trimester, first of all, I don't have a problem with people doing whatever they want to do that's best for them. If it's best for you, then by all means do it. I'm not going to judge you, but I'm going to always do what's best for me. So if a person feel like they want to terminate their pregnancy, whatever, I may not agree with it, but if that's the best decision for them, that's them.
But my question is, what's best for the child? Isn't that how it's supposed to operate?
You saying what's best for the child, but we have a lot of homeless people that's in foster cares and stuff. So what's in the best interest? Yeah, we're all here, but do they have a good quality of life, or would they rather be somewhere else?
I like where you went there. I like where you went there. It is not advertised for that to be something of an option either. Is it?
No, it's not.
Exactly. But it's advertised for you to terminate a pregnancy. So if we were
if you give the baby up for adoption, who said the baby is going to have an ideal life? Because you have sickos everywhere.
What I'm saying to you is, you are saying, because it's a contradiction. If you're saying that the baby, you're saying second, third trimester, but you also said that the baby was a baby at the beginning of conception. So you're saying that the person made a mistake, they laid down and had sex. It would be different if you had a different thought pattern as it relates to where conception of the baby born, then there would be something of an understanding to where you're at, right? But you're literally saying, I know God said that this one is a child, a person at conception, but I think how is that's going to be in their best interest to terminate or to kill the baby, right? Proto, what you thinking, bro? You got something on your mind?
I think she meant like at the birth of the child, like not at the point. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think she's saying a baby's a baby when the baby comes out, and I think you even said that.
No, she said that on a conception.
Did you say that, Renee?
I did say upon a conception, yes.
So I don't know. For like I said, for me, I don't necessarily think that. I think you guys are stretching a little bit. as far as when that whatever is appropriate or not. You know what I mean? I mean, there is a point where like, okay, like this is a whole human here, but if somebody's doing what's best for their life, you know what I'm saying? If a couple of people I work with did something like that, and I go to work with them every day, and I don't know, it doesn't affect my life. What somebody else does with themselves doesn't affect me that way. You know what I'm saying?
So should your children be able to say that?
Should my children be able to say what?
That they want to do what's best for their life?
Yes, absolutely.
At 7?
At whatever they feel is best. You know what I'm saying?
So you saying that you let your kids do whatever they want to do? You don't govern them in any type of way?
No, I definitely, I govern them.
Exactly what I'm saying. So,
but if they wanted to be like, I don't within reason, right? If they was like, if my son was like, you know, I don't want to play baseball no more, I'm not going to make him play baseball anymore. You know what I'm saying? But I'm obligated to take care of this person until he gets to a certain age by law.
Exactly my point.
You know what I'm saying? But as far as something like if it was a I don't know how else to say the word, but in that situation,
yeah,
if I can't provide, take care of this a new situation, I'm not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not going to do it.
I understand what you're saying.
So it will be best for me and that situation to not occur. You know what I mean? Like people get puppies all the time. I'm like, you know what? This puppy is just way too much to deal with. Let me just take it back to an owner or resell it. But you can't, you know, if you could have avoided not getting the puppy at all, then that's what you would do.
Lost. Then we come to you. Then we come to Robert and Jamie if she wants to say something.
And I'm not talking about even in the abusive. I know we keep wanting to bring up how people use it as birth control, right? But let's take it out of the worst scenarios or whatever, and just two people, consenting adults, be like, you know what? I ain't ready for this. You ready for this? No, you're not ready for this. All right, let's not do this. Or even a girl saying, you know, like, look, he's not going to take care of this kid. I'm not really ready to be a single mom. I'm not going to do this. Like, you know what I mean? So it just is what it is. Like, so for me, I mean, somebody making their life better and making that decision, it doesn't really affect me. Like I said in the back chat, the fact that you stupid, Dwayne, the fact that it's a political matter, there's way bigger issues that we need to be solving than pregnancy. It's just stupid.
You would think, but I just told you 2% of Black women have 30% of the terminated pregnancies.
I'm just saying it's not a political issue, bro. That's all.
So you listen? 2%? Go ahead, Lost.
Yeah, I can make it political, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna turn this thing around to something that we never think about. Humble Dad, you said earlier that we had 1.5 million, so to speak, individuals who didn't make it into this world, right? Okay. That's 1.5 million people who don't get a chance to vote, who see it your way. Okay. That's also 1.5 million people who don't get to change stereotypes of what Black people say they are. That's 1.5 million people who don't get a chance to be doctors, lawyers, morticians, barbers, you know, anybody who serves the community who gets a chance to participate in this economy. Think about it. I'll give you an example. There are far less doctors, Black doctors in the world than there probably should be because of situations like that. And I know for a fact that Black women suffer more from malpractice because of other people who don't see Black women as humans. They've had situations where Black women have had situations where they didn't have anesthesia because they thought that they could take the pain. You know, they misdiagnose a lot of Black women. I've had so many conversations with women who say, I prefer a Black doctor because they see things my way. So my thing is this, when you say it doesn't affect you, it may not affect you, but it may affect your children in the future because they no longer have access to a person who would have given them the care that they needed to continue on your family legacy. That's the reason why it matters. You see what I'm saying? That's the reason why when we think about it, hey, it's my body, it's my choice. If it's your body and your choice, you should automatically assume that there will be somebody who have a kid who will take care of me, who will take care of my children, and along the line, who will be able to change the mindset of how other people see Black people. I don't know if you notice or not, but if you go to blackdemographic.com, Black people are at the bottom economically, and it's mainly due to sheer numbers. Imagine if we had those 1.5 million people on the books, matriculating through college, matriculating through school, who actually are now truck drivers, barbers, tax-paying individuals who pay into the system, so that way we can have the services that we need for the things that we need. But my whole thing is this: whenever we take it and say, oh, it's just my body and it's just my choice, there are certain factors that we don't calculate because it doesn't benefit us right here and there. There are future ramifications that go into your decision that affect you that you don't have any way of quantifiably knowing, because we have a propensity to only see past the edge of our nose. So that's the reason why I said it does matter. Even though you may not see the benefit right now, your children someday could be the ones who talk somebody off a ledge. Your children could be somebody someday who becomes a firefighter or a nurse that saves someone else's life. Your children could be somebody who comes back and says, hey, look, I see worth in you. Those people can become ministers, pastors, anybody who serves the community, to uplift the community, to actually give people a brand new look on how Black people are. I came from a generation where people used to say, I'm Black and I'm proud. And people were always wanted to go into higher education. They wanted to better themselves. You see what I'm saying? And they used to have a saying that says, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Well, guess what? If there's no mind there, there's nothing to waste. And if there's no mind there, then there's nothing for you to gain. So anytime we have a situation where we economically X ourselves out of a position due to sheer numbers, then of course it does affect you, and it affects us all, whether we like it or not.
It's in the Black community, over 300.
Yeah, your mic was a little off there. I think it might have been you.
Everybody needs to mute up, man. One humble bass talking.
For sure. Hey, are you good? Can y'all hear me now? Oh, that's probably what it was. It was. I was just saying to correct. It wasn't 1.5 million. It was like 1,050,000 in 2023, and it's the highest it's been in 10 years. Okay. And then in that number, I was saying that about 300,000 of those are Black women. The 2% of Black women, 300,000 were from them. Go ahead, Dwayne.
All right. So I think the point that you're getting on earlier was about population control and how it impacts the Black community. But I think overall, what we're getting at is how it's not just necessarily the Black community. And I think Prototype, you were saying, as for crack, white folks use it more, right? It's a form of population control. So from a human aspect, like we have given over our dominion from a lawful standpoint, to people who don't even have our best interests at heart as human beings. I'm gonna put it like that, right? So Robert said something earlier, right? We have all these different sects and different denominations, different multitude of ideas and all this. Let's boil this stuff down to good and evil. Let's boil it down to good and evil. That's how I look at it. So is the definition of murder? Do you know the difference? There's two words that are different: murder and abortion. Those two words are
those words. Dwayne, you gotta be careful with those words.
My termination of a pregnancy, termination of a pregnancy. Those two words. The difference between murder is unlawful, premeditated. That's what the definition, unlawful, premeditated killing. The termination of a child or of a baby or a fetus is lawful in America. Now, from a moral standpoint, is that moral something that's we want on our conscience? Because we are the ones electing these people to represent us. So I look at it from the standpoint of they have convinced us to kill ourselves. Earlier, Prototype, they asked you, as for your 7-year-old making your own decisions. Think about this from a standpoint of the way that the question was asked to you, and you were like, yeah, right. The difference is the question is it's not about whether they want to play basketball or not now. The question is, do you want to castrate yourself? Do you want to introduce puberty blockers into your life that's going to impact your reproductive system? That means from a generational standpoint, those are the questions that now the government is saying that, guess what, move the parents out the way and then allow the child to make those choices. Now, remember, it said move the dads, move the men out the way and allow the woman to make the choice whenever it comes to the other thing we were talking about earlier. But now, as from the children's standpoint, as for these sex changes and all these other things, that's the new environment in which we're in. As for they want to move the parents out the way if they say, no, you are not a boy. You are a girl, or hey, you are a girl. You're not going to become something else. Vice versa, however you want to put it. The government has interjected itself in this standpoint to enable people to make decisions that are against their own best interest. I'm going to put it like that. Against their own best interest. And I'm going to go back to the termination thing. If I look at the standpoint, HD made mention of it earlier. From a presidential standpoint, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. It's a left foot and the right foot. And they're heading in one direction, off of a cliff. President Donald Trump was the first president in United States history to attend the March for Life and speak at the March for Life. That's prototype. I like that expression, Prototype. What that says to me is you have somebody interested in life versus death. Life versus death. So again, good versus evil. Life versus death. Right? Whenever it comes to programming, like I was mentioned in the back chat, if a program is set to become something, an application, and you terminate it before that standpoint, you're not playing God. So I would like somebody who is in favor of life, because at the end of the day, all they want us to do is to dehumanize each other. Once we start to do that, what we're doing is playing into the idea of population control at a grand scale. Think about it. They are different than us. Therefore, they don't deserve the right to be considered human. That's how all genocides start. And right now, from a standpoint of where we are in America, we're doing a genocide of babies in the womb. That's how I look at it. And you know what? We're just sitting by watching it play out. And I thank God that we finally had a president that went in there and turned it back over to the states. So guess what? For those people who want to coagulate and say we want to do this, guess what? You have states' rights based on the Constitution. If you want to have a state, but in Texas, they don't want to play that. California, they'll play it. So for those people who want to move to those places, go for it.
So are men wrong that get vasectomies?
I'm sorry?
You got the same energy for the men that get vasectomies?
Oh, that's what I wanted. Thank you for bringing that up, because y'all made mention of it earlier. I think it was Renee. Just as long as it doesn't impact somebody else, you could do whatever you want to do to your body as an adult. The issue is don't impact somebody else. So for example, if two people want to lay down, it's not just when, and they what they're doing is they're creating now a third, and then they're impacting that third person. If you right now, you want to go and get a vasectomy, my brother, it is your prerogative.
But what about all the kids I could have that'll help us vote and be doctors and all that other stuff?
That's your choice.
Come on, man.
No, that's the thing. Now, whenever you now start making choices to say, and everyone needs it, or how about this? How about this? Because it's happened. It's happened whenever you had people sterilizing other people without them knowing about it. That's whenever you become immoral, right? Because now you are impacting other people's. You're infringing upon other people's rights who do want to have children. That's where it becomes an issue. If you want to do whatever, as a grown man, you have the right. America, the beautiful thing about America, you have the freedom from and the freedom to. You have the freedom from and the freedom to. So if you want to go get a vasectomy, go ahead and go do it. But if you want to go lay down with somebody else and create another human being and then say that that human being has no right to live, that's wrong. Because as for murder, that's why you said, oh, it's different because a 3-year-old. Why?
Because that's a breathing person. That is a person, bro. Like
the Democratic platform says it's a clump of cells. It's just a bigger clump of cells.
Yo,
and you know what? You know what? Let's on the further side of it. As for eugenics, you now can say, you know what? This person is no longer useful to society. This old person, they no longer can pay taxes. Out of there. Why? It's a bigger clump of cells. That's on the other side. That's on the other side, the newborn, right? A newborn is no longer, they can't really too much help you. Whenever you get old and you're no longer able to work, they can't do too much. But guess what? That quality of life, that's all they're talking about. So you have talked about quality of life in the womb, what is projected to be, quality of life when you're here, what it is, and quality of life in the future, what it shouldn't be. So these are the things that I'm looking at like, hey, they have convinced us. And you know what the beautiful thing about the devil? He just needs to ask a question. Did God really say? Did God really say? So with that one little question, now we're sitting here questioning these things like, is that really a human being? Yes, it is. Is that old person a human being? Yes, it is. Somebody has convinced us to think about these people as less than. And that's how we start killing each other and having no conscience.
So do you agree with the death penalty?
The death penalty? Now, again, why is that person getting the death penalty? Is it because they did something to themselves? No, it's because they did something to somebody else. To somebody else. Your freedom ends where somebody else's freedom starts.
So is that a yes or a no?
Ma'am, yes, I do. Okay. I do. But guess what? If somebody, if you look at the 10 Commandments, I believe the first 4 happens to do with personal property or the sacredness of property. Humble Dad was asking you about your house. It's your property. In America, you have the right to own property. So if somebody comes and steals something from you, there's a right that, guess what, defends you and protects you and your rights. So it says, hey, you can't infringe on her stuff. You can't come and infringe on her right to own something. So that's the issue, is whenever we now take liberty to then oppress other people based upon our desires. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's just selfish desires. You want to kill that child because guess what? It's selfish. You want to lay down and have all the pleasure, but after when it comes to taking care of the responsibility, you want to give that up. America is all about personal responsibility.
So what's the difference when you say a vasectomy is any different? You're laying down and having a pleasure and you don't want the child. That's the same argument.
You can't have a child with a vasectomy. Have at it. But don't the
you
government.
You want to lay down and have the pleasure. You're laying down and having a pleasure.
Enjoy.
You don't want to deal with the consequences.
Enjoy.
Laying down and having a pleasure. It's the same argument you just made.
No, it's not. You enjoy. If you want to have a vasectomy and go around and sleep with as many women as you can, conquer, my brother. Conquer. Own it. Live it, man. Enjoy. But if you're going around shooting your seed into these women and not taking care of your kids, you are wrong.
Brother, you really think that's the same thing? Like you're not creating life. Like one is that
I'm just saying, just keep the same argument across board. That's all.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's a good statement that you're saying. You said a vasectomy, right? The premise in which
Because I'm using. I said a vasectomy. I'm sorry, HD, but I'm using vasectomy as in he keeps bringing up. You want to lay down and have sex. You want to lay down and have sex. You don't want to deal with the repercussions of having sex. So you get a vasectomy and like you don't got the same energy for that.
I'll tell you why.
Is that there? I'm sorry, lost. The difference is, let me get Jamie after me because she's been sitting for a moment. But what I'm saying, prototype, is the vasectomy is saying that I'm not willing to bring in a life. That's the difference. Dwayne is saying, and I'm saying, if you're saying that you're going to be irresponsible in having premarital sex, then why not do what it is to have protect? Why not protect yourself from the one thing y'all both say y'all don't want? That's what I'm saying. Go ahead, Jamie.
So what I'm gathering, just listening to everybody, I feel like we don't realize how hard it is for somebody to conceive, right? And if we all sitting on this panel and we all believe that conception starts at the moment the sperm enters the egg and the light, do y'all realize that when a sperm actually makes it into an egg, there's a light that goes off, right? And then there's a film that forms around the egg to protect the egg from any other sperm entering the egg. Therefore, it is not just a clump of cells. It has now a protective barrier for itself within the womb. And so I think what everybody's trying to say is that it is our responsibility once this sperm enters the egg and that life happens, we are supposed to protect that baby, because that one sperm made it, out of what is it? How many, like a million sperms get in there? And also I forgot about the acid in a woman's womb area that kills majority of the sperm before it could even reach the egg, right? And I understand people feel like it's a burden to have babies, but I've done foster care, right? So I mean, like, I've done my due diligence there, and it has been a blessing to help raise kids and then unite them back with their families when they got right. And it's a part of community. It's a part of our due diligence as people, because not everybody's going to have it all together. And I've even had to have my own sister's kids sometimes, right? Like, there's 3 kids on top of my own. And so, but I think what we have lost, or like everybody says, we've been desensitized to understand what happens at conception, how hard it is to actually conceive a child, because it seems like it is just so redundant, or the same type of people get pregnant that we deem as unvaluable people, because we already deem the people that are getting pregnant or having promiscuous sex at a low value anyways. And because we deem them at a low value, we feel like, and so do our superiors who have put these things in place for us to kill these babies, that these babies have no value, right? That because this life made it in there, that's not valuable because it can't speak for itself. But it created a defense mechanism to ensure that no other sperm could enter the egg. And I just want to say that's really big. It literally creates this beautiful film that kills off the rest of the sperm so that no other sperm can enter and tamper the egg, the life that has now been started. And that's all I got to say. That's it.
This has been dope, been phenomenal. I really appreciate everybody's perspective. I always hope nobody feels like they're getting jumped on. Renee's new, so you know what I'm saying? And it's good, but she had Prototype on her side. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, he would have been really mean. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Prototype for caping for somebody. You know what I'm saying? You don't typically do that. So shout out to you. Shout out to you, Renee, for being to ask the question and have the conversation. I had other questions to ask, but it seemed like a really thorough, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like a really thorough conversation. And I have this conversation on a lot when it comes to me having to defend what side I stand on. And just for the record, for those that don't know, The Republicans are the ones that introduced Roe v. Wade in the Supreme Court 7-2 here in Dallas. So then now the Republicans don't even talk about that, right? And the Democrats have made it one of their lines of contact. For those that don't know, to run for a Democratic office, you cannot be pro-life. You can't be pro-life. If you are, you have to run as something else, right? So just all the things that I think most people are very much misinformed, especially Black people, as it relates to staying in the Democratic Party. It would make more sense for you to say, I'm not going to vote, you know what I'm saying, than to vote in the favor of the party that really is against you. If you look at the crime rate, it happens typically in a Democratic ran county. And as I said, the poverty is typically in a Democratic ran county. That's nationwide. You can check it. This ain't something I just said. This is something I literally went to go research because I was like, I don't know a good reason. And so I went to go research all of this. You know what I'm saying? And I fact checked myself several times. So shout out to those that's repping who they repping, but make sure you're well informed before you do. I'm undecided on if I'm gonna participate. I know I'm just getting my Dwayne, really? You was late, bro.
Not you. No, that was the back chat, man. Hey, relax. Eddie, don't hurt me, bro. No, not the outro music. Forgive me.
Listen. Just make sure you know what you're doing when you're voting, right? That's my whole premise. So who should be president? It don't really operate in my position. I believe that the church needs to step up. So that's what I say. Right? If you're a follower of Christ, you need to be doing what you're supposed to do as a follower of Christ, and you'll see lives change. Hey, make sure you check out Lost in Translation on all platforms. Prototype on Wednesday, every other Tuesday. Every other Tuesday. And then check out Renee, you know what I'm saying, on Instagram, right? Check out Renee on Instagram, Dwayne Jones Photography, and it's me, Jamie. I appreciate you coming in on your vacation. I appreciate that. I know we kept up some people a little late, but I'm on summer vacation, so y'all gotta leave when you can. Educators in the building. Hey, and until next time, we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous. Seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see them about to impact the world.